back to cover another baseball video for today. Got an early one starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Hopefully, you guys all had a great slate yesterday on Friday. It was a massive slate. Also, a ton of overlay on Fanduel, the big contest. Only filled halfway, so if you didn't play that, then you kind of missed out. But it was another good day for us. Make that 2-0 to start the year. Scored a 149 plus on Draftkings and a 164 on Fanduel. On DraftKings, Shane Bieber, and on FanDuel, Shane Bieber carried us. Best pitcher of the night by far. Hopefully, he played him. And then had Muncy on DraftKings, who hit 2 bombs. And then on FanDuel, was mainly carried by Shane Bieber and some of the Red Sox bats. So let's get into it. As always, you can hit the like on the video and subscribe if you've not already. Appreciate you guys getting yesterday's video over 300 likes. That is very rare. Hopefully, it helped you. And hopefully, we can do it again. So if we can get 150 likes, that would be appreciated. And let's get into the breakdown because this slate starts in about 5 hours. So DraftKings has it up to 410. FanDuel has the 510 games, I think, included, or has 2 more games included. So looking at DraftKings first, looking at the totals here, we have the Phillies at 5.2. I'm not really interested in them. First of all, they're not great against left-handed pitching with Bryce Harper being a lefty and Jay Bruce being a lefty and Didi being a lefty. And Caleb Smith is actually a pretty good pitcher. He's been inconsistent last year, but before that he was like an ace. I think you could even take a shot on him in some tournaments at 6,900. Even though the Phillies have a high total, I'm not really on them today. And I like the Braves a little bit. They have like a 4.6 total, but Steven Matz has been pretty bad against righties. And the Braves have 2 amazing lefty hitters in Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies. Both of those guys absolutely mash left-handed pitching. They also have more power than they're with Austin Riley and Adam Duvall. So I think the Braves could be a bit underlooked, underowned. I love the A's today against Dylan Bundy. You have a cheap Chris Davis again, 4,100, a cheap Matt Olson with the walk-off grand slam yesterday. So they look like a pretty good cheap option. We know Dylan Bundy loves to serve up some home runs. And then you have the Astros at 6 runs against Taijuan Walker making his debut. Don't know where Taijuan Walker went, but now that he's back, he just throws the fastball a lot, so it's probably going to be a spot where the Astros can get to him. And then looking at the early games, we have the Cubs against Corbin Burns. You could look at the Cubs stack. The Red Sox look great again against Alex Cobb in that terrible bullpen, and we're getting some good prices on some of them, especially Benintendi leading off, and JD Martinez should still crush, and you got a cheap Mitch Moreland in there. The Twins at 5.2, they look fine against Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel's a little more of a ground ball pitcher, but if he does give up power, it's probably going to be to a team like the Twins. And that's mainly the stacks that I'm looking at today. I'm not really on anybody else. So DraftKings wise, those teams that I mentioned, I like them a lot. We'll start off at pitcher though. Not a lot of aces today. We have a lot of these team second pitchers. You have Zach Wheeler against the Marlins, who has just a lot of strikeout upside. I think he looks pretty good at 10-1, just considering that the next options are Yu Darvish at 10-5 and Sean Manaea against a tough Angels offense. So I think Wheeler sticks out at the top tier above 10,000. And then you have Lance McCullers at just 8,500. He's going to be the guy that everybody goes to. And I don't blame them against a terrible Seattle team. Definitely fire up some Lance McCullers. And then I think you could look at John Gray just for tournaments at 8,100. Alex Wood for tournaments too. And that's pretty much it. And Caleb Smith too. So not a lot of pitching options that I'm really considering today. And then stacking wise, I like the Astros, the Red Sox, the Oakland A's, the Braves a little bit. And that's pretty much it, I think. So starting off, I think I'll go Zach Wheeler against this Marlins offense. Also, if you're not aware, RotoGrinders has this free plate IQ that you can use to analyze and get more stats. So if we look at the Phillies and Marlins game, to look at the strikeout upside that Zach Wheeler possesses at a 23.5% K rate last year. Looking at the lineup, there's a lot of strikeouts in here. You have an average of 21.8, especially guys like Derek Cooper, Diaz at the top with VR and Aguilar. So I do like Zach Wheeler a lot. He's been pretty neutral to both sides of the plate, a little bit worse to lefties, but against righties he's been great. And you should see a bunch of righties in the lineup. So Really like Zach Wheeler at 10-1. And then I'm going to go Lance McCullers. Just get my pitching right. You still leaves you with like almost 4,000 left for your hitters, which is right where I want to be. Don't have to do much analysis on McCullers against this terrible Seattle team, but he's cheap, and that's what I got. And they have a very low total. So we'll start it off here at first base. I really like, you have Matt Olson is just so cheap at 4,200. I will be liking him a lot. We look at the stats for Matt Olson and the splits. For Matt Olson, he has been amazing against right-handed pitching. There's so much power with him. Got to go back to 2019. And back in 2019, he had a 288 average, 2 righties with 25 home runs. The ISO was very high at 288. Still striking out at a decent clip, but if you look at Bundy, he's been very bad to lefties. So I feel like it's going to be a good spot to target guys like some of the lefties on the A's, and then you can target Chris Davis, who sometimes is a reverse splits hitter for some parts of his career. And I do kind of like him playing him a little bit more against righties. So you could definitely look at Chris Davis again. But looking at the Oakland hitters, Dylan Bundy last year was awful against both lefties and righties, gave up a 233 ISO to righties and 177. The strikeout rate was 10% lower to lefties. And if you look at the types of pitches that he throws, to lefties, it's really just the fastball, and then to righties, it's the fastball slider. So if we look at the fastball here, you see Matt Olson 431 ISO against the fastball. And then if you want to look at the slider, if you're interested in playing guys like Chris Davis, he has a decent 181 ISO. So really looking at Matt Olson, you can look at the changeup. He throws that a decent amount. Olson, solid 264 ISO there. So looking at Matt Olson at first base, I like him quite a bit. Now we got a value play. That's why I can pay up for 2 pitchers today, because I got my value play right here in Yoshimo Tezutsko, the $2,000 third baseman / outfield from the Tampa Bay Rays. He is my favorite cheap play by far of the slate. You get him at min price. They signed him to a big deal. He's going to have a lot of power. He came over from Japan. He has a lot of power back in Japan and should carry over. Had a good day yesterday in his first game. I think he had a hit and an RBI, and he should be batting right in the heart of the lineup. So Matt Shoemaker is coming back from a scary injury. The Rays have a pretty high total. Not looking to stack them fully, but a guy like Tezutsko hitting right in the heart of the lineup at 2,000, definitely you can sign me up for that. And then going into the outfield, you have a very cheap Michael Brantley at just $4,000. They have a very high total. He's only 4K. That's just really cheap. A lefty righty against Taiwan Walker also looks appealing if you look at some of the numbers for Michael Brantley, and just from the Astros team against a guy like Taiwan Walker, you will be presently surprised that a lot of the hitters look very good today. So back in his last healthiest season, he had a 5.15 xFIP. He throws the fastball a ton. He's basically a fastball splitter to lefties and a fastball cutter to righties. So look at the fastball. Michael Brantley, a 261 ISO on that pitch. Splitter, decent 148 ISO. And then to righties, he throws a cutter if you want to look at some of the righty bats. And Altuve looks good. Springer looks good too. So 4,000 for Brantley is really cheap. And then Andrew Benintendi is going to be like everybody's play. And it's hard not to like him at 3,900 batting leadoff against Alex Cobb. If you look at Alex Cobb's numbers, they are pretty bad against both sides of the plate. He gives up power. And the best part is that if he doesn't last long, they're going to get a very cheap bullpen. So last year was pretty small sample size, but they got eaten up by lefties and righties. Back in 2018, righties also hit him well. So he's been a little bit worse to righties, but Benintendi is much better against right-handed pitching. So it kind of evens out. I think you could even play JD Martinez. I like him again. He also has good numbers against Cobb for his career. So those are the 6 plays that I like a lot on Draftkings, and then I will go ahead on to touch on Fanduel now. Okay, over on Fanduel, they have the 2, 5, 10 games included, and both of those games have really, really good pitching options. So I'm going to start, I think on Fanduel, you probably want to go with Clevenger or Luis Castillo. I don't see, or maybe even Zach Wheeler if you want, but I'm going to go with Mike Clevenger after seeing what his teammate Shane Bieber did to this Kansas City team, and looking at Clevenger, who has similar strikeout upside, if not more, than Shane Bieber. Sign me up for some Clevenger over on Fanduel. And then hitting-wise, I like the same stacks that I mentioned on Draftkings, except the Indians and the Reds, they probably triumph some of those stacks because they are in tremendous matchups. If you look at the totals and stuff from this game, if I can pull up the 5-10 games, they both have very high totals, both facing awful pitchers, and both are facing bad bullpens too. So the Reds look great. Ivan Nova's terrible against lefties. We have a very cheap, if you're playing on DraftKings, you got Shohei Aikima at $2,000 min price. On Fanduel, he's a little bit more expensive, but I like him still the same. And the Indians, they should crush Brady Singer. So we'll start it off here at second base with Mike Moustakas. I love him against a bad righty, and especially a righty that's awful against lefties. Looking at Ivan Nova's splits from last year, he gets eaten up by left-handed bats, especially guys with power like a Mike Moustakas. So feel very good about him. Last year, gave a 496 slugging to lefties, gave up 30 bombs total. He's also bad against righties too. So play your Suarez, play whoever you want. Looks very, very good. XFIP is much worse to lefties though, so feel a little bit safer about targeting some of the lefties, but I still like the righties too. At third base, I think you can go with Devers. Rafael Devers looks great, and or Jose Ramirez. It's pretty much a toss-up. I'm just gonna go with Devers. Although I like Jose Ramirez too, but probably one of those two, even or Suarez, down there a little bit cheaper. Into the outfield we go. We have a very cheap Andrew Benintendi on Fanduel. It's only $27. He's going to be a part of my stack for sure. At just 27 bucks leading off, that's just tremendous value. And then you have a very cheap Michael Brantley. So those are the plays that I like a lot on Fanduel. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You can hit the like if you enjoyed the video, and good luck this afternoon.